Per Bill Ryder, Giannis Antetokounmpo could force his way out of Milwaukee if things went awry for the Bucks. Here's the quote. There's a rising sense of confidence that if things go badly in Milwaukee, that Giannis could be available for trade, would really force his way out of Milwaukee in the next year, end quote. And I've been a strong advocate for loyalty in the NBA and also for Giannis specifically to stick with the Bucks, not just from a loyalty standpoint, but because they have done what they think is best in terms of building a championship roster around him by bringing a guy like Dame in. But ultimately, that has not worked out. And also the head coaching change, Doc Rivers has not been the best head coach for them. So the Bucks, they've had some organizational failures as of late, and these rumors have to be coming from somewhere. You know, there are rumors back in 2020 that Giannis might be unhappy with the situation with the Bucks. He might look to leave. He ultimately won a championship there in 2021. However, these rumors, for there to be so many rumors about Giannis leaving the Bucks, they've got to be coming from somewhere. And as a result, there is probably some truth to this, that Giannis could look to force his way out of Milwaukee if things end badly and it's yet another disappointing season. Because the Bucks, it feels like just recently, it's been disappointment after disappointment over the last couple of years, ever since that championship run, really. Whether it was that first-round exit to the Miami Heat or the Dame trade not working out and hiring Doc Rivers mid-season to not even scratch 50 wins after starting off 30-13 with your prior head coach. The Bucks have consistently put forward effort in terms of trying to build a good team around Giannis and creating the right environment and structure with the team via head coaching, via the roster around him, but it hasn't worked out. And all these ideas, they can be great on paper, but we've got to see results, and that's what we have not seen, especially in the Dame Giannis era. And it's a shame that things haven't worked out, but at some point, the conversation on the front office does have to be, yes, you're doing all these things to try to build the right team around Giannis, but to this point, it really hasn't been much of a success ever since, especially since you got rid of Jrue Holiday. He was really the glue that held this whole thing together, because Dame's liabilities on the defensive end have really showed and been a major problem during his stint with Milwaukee. And Jrue Holiday, he's the antithesis of that. He is this great perimeter defender. And that paired well with Giannis's post defense. You can't get a shot up against those two. And the idea with Dame was that was just going to be such a great offensive duo that taking a step back on defense wouldn't be a big issue. And at least with Adrian Griffin, when he was the head coach for that team, at least, yeah, the defense was really bad for Milwaukee, but hey, at least you had the offensive identity between Dame and Giannis. But now you bring in Doc Rivers, and yes, the defense statistically has been better, but the team overall has been worse, and now you don't have much of an identity because the offense isn't great, the defense is middling, and I think you just set yourself up for even more mediocrity. So the Dame stint in Milwaukee with Giannis, I don't think it's going to, at this point, really lead to anything, because I've been a strong believer that year two was going to be better. It hasn't really been to this point. The Bucks are 1-3. So, and, it's a real early start to the year. You're only 4 games in at this point. However, there are teams that had much lower expectations going into this year that have at least 2 wins, right? So for the Bucks, it looks like the Dame Giannis duo isn't going to really lead to a championship in Milwaukee as they had hoped, and the loss of Jrue Holiday has really affected them. And it's just been organizational failure after organizational failure with the Milwaukee Bucks in terms of trying to build a healthy team around Giannis. So at this point, as strong a believer as I've been for Giannis' loyalty to Milwaukee, I think that it's not implausible for him to force his way out of Milwaukee, especially with the fact that we've just heard so many rumors about teams being, eyeing his situation with Milwaukee to look to trade for him, and now this rumor coming out. At this point, it would not surprise me if Giannis was to leave the Milwaukee Bucks, and that is a result of organizational failure from the top down for Milwaukee. They have had good ideas in terms of what they tried to do, and there's credit for the effort for sure, but at some point you've got to have results, and those have not been there.